Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Jeff Oliverio, and let's queer up trans rights. Trump administration creates anti-trans investigation team to root out schools' gender ideology. In a move LGBTQ advocates are calling dangerous and discriminatory, the Trump administration has launched a new Title IX Special Investigations Team, or SIT, to investigate schools for what they describe as, quote, the pernicious effects of gender ideology, end quote. That's the code for accepting transgender students. The announcement from the U.S. Departments of Justice and Education claims a, quote, staggering volume, end quote, of Title IX complaints have come in, prompting this creation of this team. Title IX, originally meant to ban sex-based discrimination in schools, has long been interpreted to protect transgender students. But this administration is pushing a narrow, birth-assigned binary view of gender. Attorney General Pamela Bondi said, quote, protecting women and women's sports is a key priority, end quote. While Education Secretary Linda McMahon added, quote, to all the entities that continue to allow men to compete in women's sports and use women's intimate facilities, there's a new sheriff in town, end quote. LGBTQ organizations like GLAAD are pushing back hard. Advocates for trans equality warned it's a political stunt that distorts the purpose of Title IX and harms trans youth. GLSEN's Melanie Willingham-Jaggers called out the administration for gutting civil rights resources, while Cathryn Oakley of the Human Rights Campaign called it, quote, just the latest episode of the Trump administration's obsession with attacking transgender lives, end quote. Queer community groups and the community say they will continue to fight and that trans students are protected by law. In the 10,000 stories that Queer News Tonight has done, I want to say that a third of them are about attacking the trans community. And this administration finds there's the well is deep for ways they try to come after the trans community. These again, organizations to root out people. Again, it's the trans community first. This is a playbook that has played out in
time immemorial.
History.
Yeah. And they're coming for, it's not just the trans community they're going to end up coming for.
What do they say? First they come for this group, then they come, and the next one they come for me,
and
right?
Let's talk about the statistics specific to McMahon's comment about men in the women's sports. There are less than 10 openly trans athletes out of 530,000 college athletes. There are 10, less than 10. And then statistics.
That's a staggering statistic.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous to sit there and have 40 plus laws throughout the country from different states aimed at keeping transgendered students out of sports, when we have Minnesota Representative Senator Justin Eichhorn, who just a few weeks ago was brought up on charges against child pornography and child endangerment because of his need to meet with an underage child for sexual predator. Then we also had in the last few weeks mega church pastor Robert Morris, who is one of Donald Trump's religious inner circle, also brought up on charges of sexual misconduct. It's amazing how those folks can get a pass, and yet you're sitting here trying to go after.
I'm sure you got that off of Fox News. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I did.
They're the biggest hypocrites.
It's really sad. It's such a distraction because, like you just said, 10 people, which is a statistic I did not know. But it doesn't matter the number. The number is minuscule. Yet it's such a great talking point. It's such a rallying cry because they can use it. DeSantis started it and used it brilliantly to promote hate, to promote the diversity, and that's what they're using. The whole DEI thing is because they can find this little piece to give a lot of distraction and a lot of people a way to voice anger against a certain community. Right. And that's what it's always about. It's about anger.
And one last statistic, less than 0.09% of the total population of the United States is transgender. Out of 347 million people in the United States, less than 0.09%.
That too is a staggering statistic. But again, these are distractions to keep people, in a very vile place in order to avoid having to confront a stock market that dropped. What did it do today, Jeff? You must know.
It was down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easier
4,000 points in days.
It's easier to hate than it is to love.
Well, I have a question. Gil, you're talking to, business leaders, and, again, talking today about this issue of bringing jobs back to the United States and the issues that Linda McMahon and the Department of Education should be focusing on, which is educating people. I would imagine you're hearing the biggest struggle that businesses are having is as a more educated workforce. I mean, our counterparts overseas are lapping us. I think they said a third of the population reads at a 6th grade level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that we've actually been hearing is workforce development, making sure that these, even including our underserved rural communities, have the resources to be able to go forward and groom these next generation of leaders to make sure we can go forward and actually be competitive in an innovative workforce. Right now, you're taking a look at certain sections of the country that still are battling with getting access to high-speed internet and broadband access. I want you to think about that. This is the year 2025. I think that should be a no-brainer by now.
We take it for granted.
And we take it for granted. It's one of those things we need to work on our core investments of making sure that we're able to prepare for an innovative workforce, and that is workforce development. And talking about, as you had mentioned, buddy, about the statistic of 0.9%. I remember
0.09%.
0.09%.
Not even a full percent.
I remember, I think it was sometime last year, the governor of Utah, I think his name is Spencer Cox, if I remember correctly, he had vetoed some legislation passed by the Republican supermajority. He himself is a Republican. His justification for vetoing the anti-trans legislation at the time was, this literally just singles out 4 students that play in high school sports in the state of Utah. It's one of those things where, and I think Andy Beshear, who's the governor of Kentucky, actually put it best when he vetoed anti-trans legislation. He had said, this is just about protecting one group of kids from being bullied by another group of kids.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But people need to do the math because this, the way the Republicans are going on politically, it's like 1 out of 2 people.
But everything they're doing is sensational.
Oh, of course it is. We know that tactic.
Right.
It's a rallying call and a distraction. I can say it over and over again. There's so many major changes going on in the Trump administration to our world, to our economy, to our government. And by focusing on this tiny, itty-bitty piece, all the people get angry and they love him and he can do whatever he wants.
Well, he's just feeding his base, but the base has got to change.
I agree.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.